Welcome to another episode of the Silver Screen Conference. I'm your host, Digimon11. Joined today with me always is Jubba Hexion.
Hey yo.
Shiroi.
Hello.
Pedantic, philosophical, halfway Pedro. Yeah, I ran out.
Don't worry, you'll think of another one for the next
almost
one.
got it.
Also, there's Tio.
Jeepers, I've turned into a Pokémon. How could this be?
And also, Jace here.
Principality podcast team can't handle the evilness team of Team Minis.
Yes, love that bit.
I guess that ties into our today's product. What is it, Dodger?
Pokémon Mystery Dungeon Team Go-Getters out of the gate.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
And in Japanese?
Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Setting out Pokemon Rescue Team Ganbarus. I have no idea what this is. Okay.
Was that supposed to be Gambare? Or like, I don't...
So
anyway, folks, when we said we were tackling every Pokemon movie, we definitely meant it. So,
if you thought that Master of Mirage was short, this is literally just a regular episode size, like 20 minutes.
Which, I'll admit, it did make me sort of mull in my head how I should grade this movie, because...
Well, for starters, the fact that I'm not hearing you audibly air quotes for the movie kind of speaks to itself.
Okay, look. This movie pretty much does its job the best out of any of the promotional shorts anything. It is literally just made to give players an idea of what they're in for a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Even as someone myself who never really got around to owning a Mystery Dungeon game, I feel like this one does its job well. So it's not spectacular, but I don't think it was setting out to be spectacular, especially given how it literally ends on a sequel hook to lead into something bigger, which I assume is the game itself. So I don't know if I should grade this remarkably or if I should grade it lower. Like I said, oftentimes I adjust my scoring based off of what type of project we're doing, because if I graded these all on the same metric or standards as I do with the big scale Pokemon movies, of course shorts like these would be much lower in terms, which would not be fair.
And this one is clearly meant for a different audience. It's clearly meant for little children. Mm-hmm. It's not really a fair assessment to try to judge them on the same standard.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, this entire show's animation for children.
To the ones who actually have played the Mystery Dungeon games, since I literally know pretty much nothing, is this like a proper adaptation of, I guess, its first major mission, or is it an original tale that says to segue into it?
Absolutely not. It has nothing to do with the real first mission.
So then why on earth does it say to be continued?
Because it's just to get you to play the game.
It's also probably a hook for the other Mystery Dungeon movie, quote unquote.
No, because it's not related at all.
So if I understand correctly, basically starting with Gen 3, each gen would get like its own respective Mystery Dungeons game.
Sorta, because Explorer of Sky of Darkness came out a year after this, and that was when Gen 4 was coming out. And then we had Explorers of Sky, the one Gen 4 was still a thing. And then we had Super Mystery Dungeon during Gen 6.
I know you're doing it on purpose, but I love that you just skipped over Gates to Infinity.
I know. I thought Gates to Infinity and Explorers of Sky was the same thing.
From what I understand, the most recent thing we've gotten is a remake on the Nintendo Switch. But
the first game. So, Jova, what is he special about?
Holy cow, this might be the most easiest and simplest plot synopsis for me to do. Basically, it's an isekai. Minus the whole dying, as far as we know. Literally, a kid wakes up in a whole new magical world where he's a Pokemon.
We're never actually told if he died to get here.
You don't even know what his human look like beforehand.
Oh yeah, that's the thing of the games. this one doesn't really explain how you become a Pokemon. It's just like you just are.
It just happens.
Is that the same? In the game
Accept it and get on with it.
Because you're led to misdirect. Oh, you did something terrible, and that's why you became one. And it's like you're the reason why all these natural disasters happened. And then later, it's like, no, it was someone else.
Okay.
Depending on how part you play in, you figure out who that someone else is too. And boy, does
don't worry, don't worry, we'll spoil it soon.
Now,
because this character is in this special.
Huh.
Really? Okay, anyway, but speaking of which, so, Boy wakes up and he's a Squirtle. He's along with a Charmander, also from Gen 1, and from a Chikorita, Gen 2. I wonder if that was just so that they had a Pokemon that blatantly looks female, so that they could have a girl of the group or whatnot.
Yes,
yes.
Because in the game you only have one partner.
It also influenced my playthrough every time from there on.
Yeah, because when I first played this, I named my team Go-Go's. You're like, hey, this was cool.
Same.
Wait.
I was like, what, 10, 11?
So let me guess, you were enticed by the short, but then when you actually played the game, you were disappointed to see that you don't have a trio.
Somewhat.
I'll explain my story with the game later.
Regardless, anyways.
His and mine are probably the exact same.
Basically, well, for convenience sake, we'll call him Squirtle, but he insists that he's a human despite Charmander and Chikorita not believing him. Essentially, these three make up a Pokemon rescue team. Their official title is Go-Getters. Apparently, the top Pokemon rescue team is known as Team ACT. So,
which stands for Alakazam, Charizard, Tyranitar.
Cute. Basically, the dilemma of this short is essentially that a Pichu is missing his younger brother. And yes, that Pichu is male despite the fact that it sounds very much like a girl. Like,
it's a baby Pokemon, of course.
Like, okay, it's not even the case of girl trying to sound like boy about, like, no, it literally sounds like a girl.
It's not a tail situation, it just sounds super feminine.
But regardless, though, yes, Pichu is missing his older brother. Who else but a Pikachu? So it's up to an available team to do it. Normally it would be ACT, but they're off doing other stuff. So, Go-Getters volunteer, but then come in these mean and gruff Pokemon.
Team Meanie.
Team Meanie. You know,
it's funny how two of those characters are voiced by Ash and Brock.
Yes. Honestly,
the meta champ is Ash, the Ekans is Brock.
And I would like to point this out, right immediately, because it's a thing that's constant throughout this special. For some reason, but I don't understand, Gengar never opens his fucking mouth in this special. That shit makes me laugh, and I don't know why.
I suppose.
Oh, that's how he's always animated in the anime.
Dude, that's horrifying.
Wait,
yeah.
it does? I distinctly remember a time where you had to lose Lick.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was Haunter that used Lick in the anime.
No. Yeah. Sometimes Gengar does open his mouth, but for the most part, it always smiles creepily. Yeah. if you watch the recent season, Ash has a Gengar, so it's just there.
Terminal montage spoiled me too much.
I will say this, for as corny as it is, I can't help but admit I get a smile on my face with how unabashedly cheesy the voice acting is, especially on that Gengar, holy cow.
Oh yeah, it's campy to hell and back, but it's one of its biggest charms.
Yeah, like, honestly, I feel like one thing this short does very well is that it knows its target audience. But, instead of just going, the typical lazy route, you can tell that the animators and the voice actors are giving it their all, despite how short it is. But anyway, so basically the race is on to go rescue Pikachu. Team Meanie are so petty that they literally clear out the shop before Team Go-Getters can do, and then later they steal most of their food. Also, I love how
they pretty much eat. Gengar commands "quote-unquote" Arbok to eat all the berries they have.
I love how Gengar orders Arbok around like he's an actual Pokemon trainer.
I get that the Japanese name for Ekans is Arbo or whatever it is, but still, the Western
I thought Ekans was like someone who evolves into Arbok.
Yes, but that's the thing. That's the thing. When Gengar commands Ekans to do something, he calls him Arbok when he shouldn't. And apparently, this was a screw up from the translators.
Yeah, the Western name for Ekans is Ekans. No, not Arbok. Come on, guys.
Yeah, that was weird.
You think the Pokemon Company would know their Pokemon?
Officer Jenny could call for Growlithe Arcanine.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Anyway, but yeah, essentially, thankfully, Team Go-Getters are helped by Auntie Kangaskhan. Basically, she gives them items that I assume are from the game, like lucky handkerchiefs.
The scars.
Yeah, this and that, which will help out. They have 2 orange berries left. Those who have played Gen 3 know that orange berries do help with healing Pokemon, so yeah.
Well, I'm guessing they have a different effects in Mystery Dungeon because they're said to energize a lot more or something.
My guess is because this is a community, basically just on Pokemon themselves. They don't have access to stuff like potions, hyper potions, which humans developed and created.
And important for later, the other items that are given to them are 3 Corsola, spikes, tiny spikes, which I'm guessing in game are used to inflict extra damage.
Yes, as a matter of fact, they're used for dealing heavy damage. A lot of the stick weapons in the game can deal some really serious damage to enemy Pokemon. Okay. So the fact that she gave something as rare as that to the kids, she really wanted them to win.
All right.
But
she said F them team movies.
Yeah.
Pretty much, one thing to keep in mind is that, yes, since this is a community of Pokemon, everyone pretty much speaks in perfect English because Pokemon can understand each other.
That is
Except
true.
for the Shroomish.
Not just that, even the Golbats. And apparently in the original dub, the one Pokemon that shows up at the end, a Pelipper, was not supposed to speak normally, but the dub instead gave him 2 lines of dialogue. It feels like, I guess it's a rule in universe that some Pokemon speak normally while others do not.
Yeah.
Feels odd.
Based on the brain power of Pokemon, one can suppose.
But, yeah.
Honestly, I don't blame some of the Pokemon for not wanting to bother learning the English language of all things.
So, basically, the race is on once again, and our heroes go for a cave where they run into Pichu, who was apparently tricked into being sealed off by Team Meanies.
Yeah, with Gengar using Confusion, a move that he cannot learn, as a Confusion that he used as, telepathically move our rock.
By the way, you can totally tell that the guy voicing Gengar is the same guy who voiced Weevil Underwood in Yu-Gi-Oh!
It's James.
No, but that's the thing. He's using his Weevil voice. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Cute.
Still, it really feels odd using a move like Confusion to telepathically move an object.
Wait,
that's basically what they do in this show. It's like Confusion and Psychic are basically the same move.
To be fair, Gengar uses Nightshade against Squirtle's Bubble, which evenly counteracts instead of just ripping through it.
That is true. You reminded a good thing, Jay, that we didn't mention. Squirtle basically has this arc that he wants to learn Water Gun, but then instead knows only Bubble for the time being.
Yeah, this sort of ties into the fact that Pokemon have to, in universe, go up a level in order to use certain moves. Which is interesting. Again, my isekai senses were tingling throughout this entire thing.
The Japanese dub also mentions apparently TMs at some point, but the dub just decided to ignore that. I don't really care, honestly.
But yeah, so basically, they take Pichu with you. I love Team Meanie's logic that, it'll be fine once they rescue Pikachu and then bring him back to his little brother. Assuming that Pichu won't tell on them for how, mean they were.
What's Pikachu going to do? Stop him?
I don't know. It's Pikachu.
The funny thing about it is, between the anime and the games, Team Meanies, which does exist on the other side, is a lot more malicious in the games than they are in the anime.
Oh yeah, their plan in the game is basically take over the world.
I'm guessing.
It's not kidding.
I'm guessing that because this anime is pretty much, kind of, despite the whole to be continued thing at the end, pretty much a one-off, they wanted to, I guess, give them something of an arc as well that could just be wrapped up in a bow overall. Because, yeah, anyway, so after that, the team run into a bunch of shroomers who are none too happy to have them in their cave. So they start spilling poison on them and they run, even though later it's revealed that the lucky handkerchiefs that the Kangaskhan gave them were protecting them from the poison, which sort of makes you wonder, why did they need to run?
Because a bunch of shroomies were still actually chasing them. They were repelled only by the fact that Charmander started, I forgot which specific move. But
he starts with Ember, but it becomes
Ember, tries again, and goes into Fire, Flamethrower. Almost said Fire Blast there. Could you imagine the Charmander whipping out Fire Blast against Shroomish?
I do wonder if they evolve in the game, but, right. Anyway, so they escape the Shroomish thanks to Flamethrower, head up the hill. Squirtle, meanwhile, is frustrated that his bubble beam is not water gun, hoping that someday it can become that.
But at least the bubbles are
still pretty.
Yeah,
at least that guy can look on the brighter side of life.
He's a pretty optimistic kid.
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, he's taken the whole I got turned into a Pokemon and I may never see my family again thing pretty well, too. Then again, I guess you kind of have to in an isekai at this point. Regardless, though, they run into Team Meanie, who were damaged by Skarmory. Oh, mind you, this is not too long after Pichu gets swooped in and taken up by Skarmory. Yeah, by Skarmory.
Skarmory, who goes through 2 different vocal changes depending on its mood.
And apparently, like, the repeats of the same one-liner over and over again? Like, is that...
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't care what it looks like to other people. I don't like it one bit.
I can totally believe this was like a gimmick also for the original dub. I just don't know the thought process behind it.
I do wonder. Regardless, though, Team Meanie have been damaged and pretty much left much worse for wear. And that's when Team Go-Getters show their true compassion by splitting a berry into 3 and giving them to the members, to which finally they are shown what true kindness can bring.
And again, Gengar, after going basically big tsundere, I was actually wondering, so, are we gonna like cut, or show from behind when he gets to eat the berry? But no, the berry literally just disappears without him opening his mouth.
Gengar's just cursed that way.
I mean, have you ever fed a Waddle Dee a cookie? It's just osmosis.
Yeah, I was about to say.
But yeah, now it's time for the big showdown with Skarmory. And apparently Skarmory was supposedly driven crazy by something because after she's beaten, she's pretty much back to normal and fine.
Another thing, we see in the meantime that Pichu has been capturing the same position as Pikachu, so they get reunited. And my big question is, okay, how is Pikachu gonna sound? Because I'm used to the cries of the Japanese voice actress, so no matter what, it's gonna sound completely alien. And they gave him kind of like of a light surfer accent. He's like, dude, it's Pichu, so I'm glad when you said him seeing you.
People complaining about
best shit ever.
Look, we live in a post Ryan Reynolds Pikachu world, so it's like, wow.
People complaining about Ash's Pikachu speaking in the one Pokemon movie. Clearly hadn't seen this episode.
God, I forgot about that.
Honestly,
you guys can have fun with that later.
Honestly,
it's more hilarious, but I don't have a problem with it.
Honestly, I'll admit, I'm fine with this Pikachu voice. If anything, I was surprised that they didn't go for a high-pitched feminine voice for Pikachu, because that often seems... No, Pikachu.
No, for Pikachu.
No. Is it because of Pichu and them being siblings?
Not so much that as much as usually whenever they try to give Pikachu a voice, it normally... Okay, Ryan Reynolds aside has sounded pretty feminine overall.
And aside from the actual game version of the Pikachu, where he's the same guy who voices the protagonist of Paper and Seraph.
Mind you, I don't mind it. It's a nice breath of fresh air, and he sounds fine. Basically, Pikachu helps them by literally kicking a quick seed into Squirtle's mouth.
It's skimmed over in the anime, but the main reason that Skarmory is so upset is because it's been kept up repeatedly by earthquakes going on at all hours of the day, meaning it can't get any sense of sleep.
Yeah, and
well, that's why also the frantic way of speaking, I guess.
Yeah. So in the games, natural disasters keep happening, and as a result, it's causing a bunch of Pokemon to be cranky.
Even in a cutesy cartoon like this.
You know what? To be fair, that is consistent with Power of One, which establishes that Pokemon tend to get moody when their senses of disaster are sort of tempered with.
Regardless, which is why everyone loves Absol.
Because Absol's chill like that.
I guess. But Charmander and Chikorita had tried using their Corsola, spikes beforehand, but it's when the seed hits Squirtle that he's able to gain that extra speed that he needs.
And with that, he's able to finally set Skarmory up for a final attack with Razor Leaf from Chikorita, Flamethrower from Charmander, and finally, Water Gun from Squirrel himself. As Pichu said...
Glad that we completed that story arc, I guess.
Well, it's like he just said to you, oh, Squirtle's levels are going up like no one's business, or something like that. Like, holy
like crazy.
Like crazy. And so, Skarmory is defeated, and apparently she's shaken out of her madness. Pichu and Pikachu are saved, and Medea's won. But it looks like they may have another mission to come before them. And so our story ends, to be continued.
And I guess it's again, as I mentioned, it's in the game, because this special never really received a direct sequel.
So, yeah, that's it. That's the short. Even
that begs the question of whether that, considering again how this is clearly more intended for a younger audience, and to be honest, I will struggle to find some particular example for the usual. Like, do we want to still go through your usual, different award questions?
Might as well.
At the very least, though, given how little characters there are, I do think you should allow repeats on this one.
Same for the C's, ideally.
Yes.
This is because there really isn't much to work with, to be honest.
Yeah, so we're in the the Tracy Sketchum Award, which is most useless character. Who wants to go first?
It's hard to.
Can we put all of Team Mina's put together as one useless character?
I wouldn't even say they were useless.
I don't have that's the thing. Usually these award is reserved for a character that's actively, to be hated or that does something incredibly stupid. But I argue that in this special, there's no one that really does fit that, to be honest.
I'd say Pichu.
I guess. Pichu does it. Technically speaking, Pichu does it. Well, to be fair, Pichu manages to instigate the rescue team on the proper direction, I suppose. After that, sure, Pichu is not really that useful. Gets trapped over, injures Squirtle by jumping, directly into him with an extra attack. Needs one of their berries to actually get up, I suppose, and then get captured by Skarmory. But I gotta be honest, I don't really think that's enough to hate the character.
It doesn't mean hated character. Okay, obviously, who's your least favorite and your favorite?
Again,
I guess I'll have to go with that, but mostly because there's really not much of a choice to me.
Wait,
on that, to be honest.
Devin?
Pichu.
Oh, Pichu.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's no real bad characters in this thing. Like, let me put it like this. I guess there's stuff to critique in this, but like I said, as what's essentially a short that's meant to advertise a game, this is arguably the best of those types of shorts from this franchise that we've seen so far. No, it does everything to a T, and I'd say it's entertaining enough. I guess if I had to pick most useless character, I guess the Shroomish, because their poison really wasn't going to do much, and even though they were chasing them, oh no! A Shroomish! How scary!
I mean, one Shroomish isn't scary at all, but 1,000 of them running tackle on you at the same time? Well, it's effective against something.
It's like the equivalent
Probably
of
pretty
mushroom.
poisonous, too.
Again, Sheree, the handkerchiefs were protecting the team from the poison, so...
Sure they were.
But, yeah, no, I guess my pick for the Tracy Sketchum Awards are Shroomish.
the only two people or Pokemon in the short that gets the idea of dope smack at any point in time is Squirtle, who winds up knocking over the Shroomish to cause the problem in the first place, and
That is true.
Pichu for just being that young Pokemon to follow around and kind of be in the way. But no, I'm with you. It's really hard to choose anybody of them.
Yeah.
Even though I joked about it, Team Meanies is very good at being the antagonist type team for the little that they are.
Mm-hmm.
Buying out the shop, which, I mean, can you really blame them? If you've played the series, you've probably scalped everything on the market more often than enough.
I mean, they also bought it legitimately, it seems. They didn't, like, steal it or anything.
Again,
Good business partners.
Look, all I'm saying is that if you ran a shop, there needs to be a cap limit.
well,
You never
to be
played
fair,
with the tier
Dave,
badge,
they
haven't
are.
you?
Yeah. Also,
Fine,
does,
Tracy Sketchum Award goes to the Kecleon brothers because
Yes.
capitalism.
Terrible shopkeeper. There you go.
yeah. Like, hey, I guess they lucked out with the money made from all that.
And that's all they care about. Damn Kecleons.
Pedro?
I don't know. Like,
It's hard, isn't it? Like,
I guess Mother Kangas can, because he didn't really do much. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. She gave them the handkerchiefs that protected them from the poison, so...
And the Corsola
Well,
Twigs,
Jova,
they gave
what
them
do
an
you
edge.
Well, Jova, by all means, what do you suggest I pick?
You can choose. Okay, I can choose. You can say Elder Wishcash.
I was thinking the same thing.
To be fair, Deji sorta has a point because Elder Wishcash is terrible at trying to comfort Pichu and saying that, LPs will be on way, because he almost panics immediately when discovering that Team AC whatever, is busy.
Don't worry, Pichu. Our best Pokemon rescue team will come and save your brother.
Oh,
Aren't you in the middle of being important? Oh.
oh, your brother's gonna die. I'm sorry.
Even though I'm the elder of this village, I'm not good at doing this.
Honestly, I got more of a laugh out of him than disappointment, but I guess he is technically useless in that regard.
I mean, there's also the Lombre that just decides to crap talk most of the teams.
And then disappears for the rest of it.
Doesn't elaborate. Leaves.
So,
Who's the real bully here?
really, Pedro, just like us, you can pick pretty much anyone you want, I guess.
Yeah.
Fine, the same one. I'll go with Skarmory because he's such a crap villain. I guess why not?
Alright, Shiroi.
Is that the bird's name? Because I was going to say
Yes.
that too. Yeah, because they just kind of screech, fly around, and don't really do anything.
I mean, that's Skarmory for you.
So I guess they were. I guess I'm selecting this on who was the least interesting. So I guess them. So because again, no one was really bad. It's just everyone's kind of there. So.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, now
I
that's two of you.
got one.
What?
Go ahead, Edge.
Pikachu, how you get kidnapped by a Skarmory? Come on now.
Well, the
Also,
same
he
way
could
that-
easily get out of that
Stealing
rope. He was just
flying.
sitting there
We're
chilling.
probably so used to Pikachu being this badass figure that solves every single problem. That,
You know what it is?
No.
He probably
Actually,
was sitting around just to make sure that his little brother Pichu didn't get caught in the mess.
actually, I'd say Team Meanie is like, how you get job to a Skarmory? You have the power to lift up rocks.
Okay, to be fair, it's the same way that Skarmory was able to give Charmander a run for his money, despite the fact that, he's a fire type.
Also, Team Meanies had a Medicham and with them. Fighting is weak against flying.
And the poison of both Ekans and Gengar is ineffective against Steel.
We're only allowed to bring up game mechanics because they bring up game mechanics themselves.
Again,
Alright, that next question.
All right, the Mewtwo Wars. Who was your favorite character?
Okay, now this one's a lot easier because there
Yeah.
are a lot of good characters to pick from, so who wants to go first?
I can. Pretty easy for me. Our protagonist, the Squirtle human turned Squirtle. Sure, there might be the dumb moment of him knocking accidentally one of his roomies, but I do see it as part of his characterization. He's not essentially not being perfect. He's not these bundle of super outings, but he's not super depressing at the same time. He commits some mistakes, but he keeps learning and improving as the special goes on. Sure, the arc might be super sped up for him, but there's a start and a finish, and it's kind of satisfactory actually seeing him grow and prove his worth as a rescuer. So that's really something for me.
You could say he's a jolly old Squirtle.
Next.
I bring that up for a reason. Before I choose, because it is going to be Squirtle, context. In the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game, before you jump in, you have to, quote, choose a character via a personality quiz. If you wind up with the personality type Jolly, you actually do become Squirtle. And it fits his character very well. Yep, same here.
Hey, even though the first time I got Psyduck turned that shit off.
For someone who's caught up in a situation that is, an isekai, he takes it very well. Takes a lot of the world around him on the chin. He's just excitable, and even though he's not easily believed to be human, he certainly does learn his way around as a Squirtle very well. Adapts to his environment, and even though he's bumbling very, very early on during their affairs, he makes up for it as fast as he can. He's a very good protagonist.
Since the Squirtle is voiced by Max, what if this is what happened to Max, and that's why we never saw him ever again?
Huh.
One can hope.
It's revenge for pointing at Ash and blaming him for losing out in the top 8.
Mark, it's also
damn.
Wait, really?
Oh yeah, it's a meme hell.
Yeah.
The very first, Max is actually really damn rude early.
Well, I guess
I don't know if he gets better.
I guess
he did after he stole Ash's gym badge because he was coping that his dad lost.
I mean, God, Squirtle is so good. I don't want to go for the same one though.
I mean, we did it for the Master Mirage.
We were actually close to do it for Master Mirage, so...
I think we kind of broke the mandatory rule of picking different characters a long time ago.
It's not for that series, because again, for such a small environment, I think it would be too strict.
Okay, Squirtle is my official pick. For all the reasons everyone else stated. Good protagonist, he's good for setting the world and whatnot. But damn it, as an honorable mention, I will say Team Meanies as a whole, because they are so unabashedly the heels, and they're loving it, and they're just so entertaining with it all.
Honestly, I don't even know. Like, I guess I'll just go with Squirrel. I don't really have anything else.
Alright, next.
Shiroi.
Alright, I'll throw another point to Team Meanies. Why not? Just because of everything that's already been stated, and also them being fairly tactical, like buying up everything. Although I do agree there should be a cap on the amount they could have bought, but still, nice job, I guess. And yeah, they're the kind of stereotypical-ish bully characters, but I don't think they were as annoying as some of those characters can get. Although Squirtle would also be another good pick, just because they handle being a Pokemon very well, despite all the nonsense they had to go through after they, first got here. So they handle their situation pretty damn well, especially when you consider that they're probably a kid as well. Like,
oh yeah, definite 10-year-old there. But the Pokemon world seems to have shown shining stars.
Yes. But yeah, Team Meanies.
Here at the Kecleon Brothers, our motto is, the only cap on our products is the back of the shelf.
You see, I want to choose Squirtle, but everyone else chose him, so I'm gonna...
Nothing wrong with continuing the trend, Edge.
I'll choose Charmander because, oh wow, Flamethrower is actually useful.
Okay.
I mean, it is 30. It is 30 Shroomish. It's perfect
as far as
for that situation.
The only fire Pokemon in Gen 1 who had useful moves was Flareon.
I also Ponyta and Rapidash suck, but you hear it from me.
Okay.
What's
Next
that? You're
question.
mad about the Fire Horse being bad? Oh wait, what about Arcanine?
Next question, then.
Leave the horses and the dogs out of this.
Least favorite scene?
Okay. I might be, but I probably am cheating a bit on this, Dad, so apologies in advance. Rather than a scene, I would like to point out that this short, probably because of, animation constraint, budget, and time stuff, does suffer a bit of Steven Universe proportion syndrome.
Excuse me, what?
A lot of times, Pokemons that are supposed to be either like slightly bigger or slightly smaller than others do seem to be on the same level. Notably, especially Chikorita, she spends a scene by looking exactly at the same height as Squirtle, and then in the next scene she's much bigger, even from a perspective kind of point of view. Like, when you start noticing that, it becomes very jarring.
To be fair, though, too, that's more a critique as opposed to a scene, so...
I know, it's just that I honestly cannot find a scene that I think it's particularly bad.
Same.
Well, it is a very short...
It's not even a thing that I think, this
episode.
is so spectacular. I just don't think it has any particularly bad standing out stuff.
It's like I said, like, this short pretty much just does everything right and fine. Like, I mean, look, it is not the most spectacular thing Pokemon-wise, but it's probably, ironically, one of the most solid things. Like, even as a blatant advertisement for a game, it does its job just fine. Like, it's really hard for me to think of anything it legit does wrong.
Okay, maybe, okay. At the cost of being pedantic, I guess I can say the very end, because rather than having a satisfactory epilogue, it just basically pretty much stops with it to be continued.
Okay,
there
yeah.
you go.
Go on, Pedro.
For me, it's the scene where they say Arbok instead of Ekans, because the Pokemon company should know better.
Okay.
Alright then, next.
Jay?
Yeah, you know what? I will go with the Team Minis encounter scene. Nightshade is a very powerful move. How did it even out with Bubble?
That is true. Why didn't it just, broke it and, hit
Also, why did
Squirtle?
Gengar aim for the bubbles instead of for Squirtle?
I guess the idea is like, well,
they want to hurt them properly. As noticed,
Nah, their name's Team Minis. This is a Pokemon world. If anything, that's a slap on the wrist.
Well, to give them credit, it seems like Team Minis want to be bullies in the most legitimate sense. Like, sure, not blatantly evil, but basically as much as they can do it within the legal system.
Oh yeah? Spoilers for the 17-year-old game. Team Minis are the reason you get ran out of town.
Yes.
Oh yeah, they are.
Yeah,
wow,
because
really?
you find out, like when you're trying to find out about your origins of how you became a Pokemon, the Azatsu tells you, oh yeah, so there's this rumored curse that if you touch a Ninetales, you get turned into a Pokemon and get cursed, and the world also gets cursed. And Gengar sneaks up behind you. He's like, "Oh, interesting! I'm gonna tell the entire town." So yeah, and then the town gets angry because it turns out we're the cause of the natural disasters. So we get chased out of town.
Wow.
By the way, we do mean chased out of town.
Yes.
This isn't your average exile to start the party type deal. You are criminals, and they're trying to hunt you the entire
Torches
way.
and pitchforks.
And your only team member is your first partner. You cannot bring any of
you don't bring anyone else other than that. So
Holy
hope you chose a good partner to work with.
This game is brutal.
Honestly,
spoiler alert, turns out you're not the human that did it. It was Gengar. And you until the post game.
Yeah, no, this is a post game cutscene. You don't
So
even have
he
to
is
go
a
back
piece
to this
of
story.
shit.
Wow.
Oh yeah, all the way through.
Shoot, man, now I'm wondering if I should check out this game.
Oh, I so recommend it. Doubly so if you love Pokemon Legends.
Alright, so, Shirai?
Least favorite scene would probably be the final quote-unquote fight, I guess. Just anticlimactic in general.
don't know. Out of everything, it was certainly like the most hype-inducing. Let's call it.
I wasn't particularly invested in it when I watched it, but that's fine.
Very fair. Product of its time.
Let's see.
Drova?
My least favorite scene. I guess that would be the to be continued bit, because, yeah, kind of a letdown on that. Like, a shame that it doesn't get continued. Like, even if you actually play the game.
Yeah, I honestly thought there was going to be more. It's like, no? Okay.
Maybe a 3-parter or something.
Yeah. But again, the game had just come out, so I guess they didn't want to spoil.
Also, Japan is more used to this kind of one short promotion that really doesn't go out of its way to elaborate much more. So
I think we've been thinking about talking about this for a little bit, but I honestly think that the reason that they use the to be continued portion is simply because of a product of the Pokemon anime's runtime. Every episode ended with a to be continued. I don't know about it now, but it was certainly just something you expected out of a Pokemon episode.
Also, considering the purpose of the short itself, I kind of thought the to be continued was supposed to be their way of saying, now go play the game.
Me too, yeah.
I mean, if you want to be technical, this thing was part of the opening for Battle Frontier.
Okay.
If you look at the box art where you have one team looking at a hole and another team being surrounded by Pokemon, yeah, they're connected.
And again, to be fair, like with Tio, I kind of do have to struggle. Like, look, even though this is my least favorite scene, I wouldn't even call it necessarily bad. Like, again, if you perceive it as just a sign to go play the game, then it's fine, really. Again, I really have to struggle to actually find a scene that I don't... Well, not even that I don't like, just a scene that feels problematic, and this is the closest I could get to it. Alright, who's next?
Dedra.
Scar Racing. I don't like it. I don't care what it looks like.
Alright, the last question, I guess, Dedra.
Alright, favorite scene. I'll go. When Squirtle earned water guns. Like, yeah, neat.
Yeah, it's basically, again, the culmination of his story arc, I guess. Well, I agree with Sherry that the final fight is not the most, spectacular kind of thing. It's a bit wonky. I do believe, it as a conclusion of the story arc that Squirtle goes through in terms of becoming better, serve its purpose. It also helps that, the intervention of Pikachu is aimed directly at him, reinforcing a bit more of his protagonist position, despite still being about the team rather than, just him alone.
So look at that, Tio. Pikachu doesn't steal the spotlight.
Well, he didn't do it for a lot of the movies, to be fair.
This is a different Pikachu, though, anyway, I guess, right?
Sure, it don't matter. A Pikachu always is often set to be the center of attention in media.
If anything, it's more refreshing to me to finally have a protagonist that I can genuinely, like for without too much strings attached.
The only string attached here is that it's an isekai.
I don't really care too much about those saturation aside. Next.
Yeah, my favorite scene is the climactic finishing battle with Skarmory. It's a good culmination of the arcs that our team has gone through, and it's nice to see them get their proper start as a team. And it's pretty much the hypest battle in the short as well. Simple as that.
Pedro?
I guess the ending, because everything is resolved. I don't know,
We have said this in previous episodes, though, I think.
Yeah.
The credits.
Oh, maybe I should go back and watch your history after all. The ending scene from a player's perspective, although the location is wrong, it is just as exciting as the real fight against Skarmory. I love the usage of the Quick Seed. I love the very fact that they do utilize the Corsola twigs, which, again, deal crazy damage. And that Pikachu's kick is something that Conan Edogawa could be proud of.
Yeah, he managed to kick something as small and flimsy as a seed a good distance, and with good precision.
I feel like I'm picking the wrong scene now.
And honestly, it was exciting to see Squirtle suddenly gain access to the Quixie thanks to Pikachu, and zooming around like that, because as a kid, that is exactly how I felt when I got the haste ability out of it. Imagine double timing your enemy Pokemon and just wailing on them with no mercy. That is awesome. And for what it is, yeah, it is a very good advertisement because it just sells that excitement, that wonder as a kid.
Really?
I guess I could cheap out a little bit on this and say that, because I don't think any scene in this movie was particularly bad, like, at all. I say movie, more like episode.
Yeah.
Because, like, the final fight itself for me, about it being my least favorite scene, it was more so the fact that the villain, quote unquote, isn't that interesting, and I don't know what Pikachu's whole deal was, because I'm not sure why he had the trouble that he did to get there in the first place. But you're right that, you know, they do actually wrap things up pretty nicely. Everybody show what they learned. And yeah, it's just progress to go into what would then be the game. So,
The funny thing is, again, I'm going to do it again. The reason that the anime has Skarmory kidnap Pikachu is strange because there's no relation to it. In the game, Skarmory captures a Diglett because it's assuming that the Diglett family are causing the earthquakes at night, and it's
more logical.
Still cranky, but in this case, it's just a cranky Skarmory that picked off the first person it could find.
Because, you know, Pikachu mascot, so shoved him in.
Yeah, we had to get a Pikachu there at some point, so... Yeah. I guess I would like to also pick this scene as my favorite, just because the rest of it is also so straightforward that I don't have anything positive or all that negative to say about it either way.
So it's both your favorite scene and your least favorite scene. The duo.
Yeah, if you'll let me cop out like that.
Sure, go on.
Schrodinger's scene, the scene that is both the worst and the best, depending on the type of context.
Yes.
Brilliant.
All right, I guess that leaves us to the final thoughts.
And the score.
Before we do it, Jay, you got anything to say about Mystery Dungeon before we?
Yes. The reason I asked you to let me on in the first place. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team, with all of its flaws and imperfections, the Red and Blue series are, as a kid, the very reason I decided to become a writer in the first place. And the episode was the predecessor of it. One simple, really run-of-the-mill short was enough to advertise me to the games, and the games led me to just come to the recognition that, you know, the Pokemon series where you're a trainer and you lead these Pokemon through your journey, it's got way more than it can be. And if this is one avenue that it can go with it, what are anything else that it can do? What's about anything else in general? That brain blast of just simple comedic styling just helped me to become, well, to find my passion as a writer. So I can thank this episode for just putting me in the right path.
Huh.
There's a domino effect. Dragon Quest Mystery Dungeon. Chocobo Mystery Dungeon.
Chocobo Mystery Dungeon.
Yes, because this is where it started, because of Dragon Quest.
Beautiful.
All right.
I basically got into the Mystery Dungeon series because a guy at my church, none of you are going to believe this story. A guy at my church who was blind but still played video games, and like every Sunday I would also occasionally play Mystery Dungeon for him, and I even read out the story. And he realized I loved it so much that he got me both versions, red and blue.
Oh, that's nice.
Aww.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I found out he recently passed away. I was like,
bless to him.
Yeah.
That was like a cool experience you both had, though.
I do love he prefaced it with, "You're not going to believe this," and then started with, so I was at church, and immediately in my head I went, "You're right, I don't believe you."
All right, so final thoughts, Ben?
Alright, who wants to go? Tia, you go first.
Sure. Honestly, like I said, there's nothing particularly wrong with this. mind you, by the same token, it's not something that is particularly elevated, as a product, but it's, charm enough. Nothing that I particularly, again, my particular problems are mostly about the animation that, like I said, sometimes, a lot of times it's inconsistent in its proportions, and honestly, the length. There should have been more of this, pure and simple. Like, I wanted this at the very least to be a two-parter. Right? Like, why Mastermind of Mirage got to be like 40 minutes, long, and still talked about fucking nothing, and I do really mean nothing when you get down to it. While this one has much more soul into it, and instead it's just a regular 20-minute episode.
That actually got us asking for more.
Yeah. So really, it's more of an odd case. So I'm guessing, mind you, again, as prefaced, by Drova and actually Pedro, this score is only there because for the sake of giving it to it, but this product is radically different from what we have seen so far, that it's more basically just because I have to give it to it. So I'm going to go with a 6.5, sufficient and slightly above it, but it's still just there on its own. Next.
Despite the rose-tinted glasses that I tend to wear over the early portion of the Pokémon Mystery Dungeon series, I'm not blind to the fact that this is a simple advertising product for the one episode. But it's good. It really does sell you into wanting more. And you can get more out of the game, which is more or less what they're going with, especially considering on the YouTube portion, it's advertising the game all over again.
Specifically the one that comes out in 2015.
Yep. The fun, the fun of the series is the fact that you run around as a Pokemon and you experience things with your friends, and the game gives you more than what the anime can start with. Honestly, TPC, if you decide to make a 4-episode miniseries out of the Mystery Dungeon games at random again, I'd kill for that. If we're doing scoring, it does what it sets out to do, and it does it positively enough. I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah. All right, now it's time for the main numbers. Shiro, you go.
Well, I don't really have much to say about it anyway. It was enjoyable for what it was, but also it's not really something that's aimed at me, because even though the Pokemon franchise is aimed at children primarily anyway, this one feels like it's a bit more aimed for little kids, the ones who would need, I guess, this kind of short. So I think it's good, but just not for me. So I think middle of the road 5 for this. It served its purpose. It was cute, and that's it.
Okay. Pedro?
Yeah, about the same as Shiro. I still think that even for little children, there was still much more room for more substance to be put into this. But because something like Sesame Street and Dora the Explorer, I will argue, has better writing than something like this. So I feel like while it's perfectly serviceable, I also feel like it could have been even better than it is. But that's really all about it, really. Aside from that, it's perfectly serviceable as a basic short for little kids. So I don't really have anything negative to say aside from that. So.
Score?
It's fine. It's 5. No, 5 out of 10.
All right, Java.
Yeah, honestly, again, honestly, this is just a perfectly fine short that, again, it does its job well. So, yeah, honestly, it does its job so well, and like I said, I have to adjust my metrics for how it does it overall here, honestly, I was entertained. Yeah, I mean, granted, I knew sort of what I was getting into. This is much more of, basically an advertisement for it. But no, it does the job as advertisement pretty dang well. Again, it does have some faults which would keep me from giving it a perfect score as an advertisement, so in the end, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Interesting.
Alright, that leaves you.
Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Teams to Go-Getters Get Out of the Gate. Oh, Jesus Christ, that's a mouthful. It's basically an advertisement, and you know what? It did its job because I was able to get it.
It actually made me consider getting the game, even though that game is so old. So I'm wondering if I should get the original or the remake.
Go for the original.
Oh.
You still have your Wii U out?
I still have my Wii U, but not out.
Yeah, just buy the DS version, but it's on the eShop.
Oh,
Yep.
I'm guessing the remake messes up some stuff.
Oh,
Too long to get into it now. I'll get into it.
Can you still even buy from that eShop anyway?
Yes.
Okay.
Right now until next year. Basically.
But obviously it was really enjoyable. Set out to do its job. Had a fun cast of characters. I did wish that there was more to it, especially since the anime itself made a big deal out of it. But overall, it's fine. So I'm gonna give this a 6 out of 10. Combining our scores. Yep, that's a 24. Put it on. Oh my god,
Let me guess.
Also,
Des.
how much of a mess is that ranking right now, Desi?
We have a tie for 5th place because it's on to par with Mewtwo Returns. Oh no, actually, 5th and 6th is on par with Mewtwo Returns and Jirachi Wishmaker. Yeah.
Jirachi the Wishmaker.
Good movie
Now
that
evokes
was.
some old memories.
Oh yeah.
So it's over. Shiroi, I wrote down a summary if you want to read it.
This is the final Hoenn movie. That apparently takes place in Johto, a cross-promotion for a major Pokemon spin-off that died after 3 games. That's a shame. This time, Mei takes center stage as she and the gang fight some random pirate guy who's after treasure. See you next time for Pokemon Rangers and the Temple of the Sea.
Neat.
At least the title this time seems to be more promising.
And hey, I remember seeing
Yes.
like literally the last 10 minutes of that movie when it flashed on my television.
Also,
no.
I'd like to see how pirates are in the Pokemon universe. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
We'll see. See ya.
See ya.
Bye, folks.